Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Alex Thomas Show. I'm here with some special guests, Attorney Webster Cox and also a Miss Dixon. And we're here to speak about just a terrible incident that happened last April 26th. And, I think I'll allow each of you to introduce yourselves first, and then we'll get to the events of the 26th. Miss Dixon, welcome.
Hi, my name is Marquia Dixon.
Thank you for appearing. And Attorney Webster Cox.
Yes, hi there. My name is Deon Webster Cox. I am the attorney for Miss Dixon and her son, who were involved in a horrible incident that occurred. Actually, was April 16th, 2021. And I know that because that was my birthday. So it was April 16th at the Briarwood Mall. I am an attorney and I focus on social justice, civil rights litigation.
Well, thank you. Who would like to just tell us what happened on April 16th? Ms. Dixon, would you like to share?
Sure. I got off work. I got a phone call from my son, and he called and he told me, said, "Mom, you're gonna have to come get me," but I could see something wasn't right in his face. And my heart instantly just dropped. And I'm like, "What's wrong? You know, what happened?" And he was like, "Oh, my dad got pulled over." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Where are you at?" And he was like, "I don't know." And then the police officer got on the phone. He was like, "Mom, he's here. He's okay. You don't have to rush, but you do have to rush to get here." I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" They're like, "Well, just get here." I'm like, "Okay." So I had rushed over there. And when I got there, they had the dad in handcuffs and he was standing there, and my son was just standing there waiting on me to get there with a police officer.
And excuse me, Ms. Dixon, and where was this? Where were you at?
We were in Huron Street.
Huron Street, that's right.
Yes. And when I got there, my son was just standing there with another officer. And then I'm like, asking what happened. And they was like, we had started chasing him at Briarwood Mall because we thought that he was a shooter. And I was lost because at the time I didn't hear about the shooting yet at Briarwood Mall. So, and they, kept on telling me what happened and what was going on. But at the whole time, I didn't know what was going on either. I didn't know that they had handcuffed my son. I didn't know none of this. So I had got my son and left, and, and then they had let the father go, and he called me and he was like, "I was acting up and doing this because they had handcuffed Benji." And I'm like, "What?" That's when I first learned that they had handcuffed my son. They didn't tell me that they had handcuffed my son. They didn't tell me none of this stuff.
Well, from the story that I saw on Click on Detroit, just the handcuffing, just the whole traumatizing event, other things. Attorney Webster Cox, maybe would you like to give a bit, because it was just not only handcuffing. Maybe could you share exactly what did happen, the actions of the Pittsfield Township?
If you'd like to see, I've got the video up. If that would help. Okay, and we can see part of it. I mean, I won't take you through the entire all of it, but I can take you through that the unedited version, not the version that the news put out that just wanted to minimize he was only in handcuffs for 1.40 seconds. The whole ordeal that happened to this young man. So we can start there by what the cameras captured, and we'll be able to hear it and see it. Now, can you see it? Right now, what we see is an officer just driving. Keep in mind, there's already Ann Arbor police on the scene, so he's an add-on.
And this this is Pittsfield Township, right?
Put the phone down now. Sit. Lay down. Put the phone down. Stand up, okay? Stand up. You're good. Stand up. I got you. Hey, you're good. All right, stand up. I got you. You're gonna be okay. Stand up. I got you. I'm gonna detain you for right now, okay? Let me get every phone and set on the ground when I'm breaking, all right? I didn't arrest you. Are you okay? It's fine. These come off just as easy, all right? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
Sorry, now we got to detain first. Anything in Fox we didn't know about? All right. You're okay, all right? Who's in the car with you? It's your dad? Okay. Do you know why he took off running? You know why he took off running?
No.
Okay, so now here we go. Now he's got him in handcuffs. Now he's questioning him. Why are you questioning him without his parent being present? Why did you even put those handcuffs on him? Okay, why was that even necessary? Why would you have him sit down, then stand up? That's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. And then now you're asking him, do you know why? Do you know this? No. All that, if that father was involved in a felony, the very first thing was supposed to happen, CPS was supposed to be called. So we're gonna follow the rules. Let's follow all the rules, not just pick and choose the rules that you want to follow. And secondly, what was your safety? Are you gonna give him back his phone if you are so concerned about your safety? If you're going to, they say sometimes, hey, a person may run away. Well, if you're going to run away, you didn't check his feet if you were so concerned about certain things. So sometimes what they want to downplay and say, oh, or want to upplay and say, oh, it's officer safety. You weren't concerned about officer safety. You felt comfortable when you had him sit on that ground. Definitely felt comfortable when you had your guns drawn on him. Felt very comfortable. Felt very comfortable when he was in handcuffs. Felt even more comfortable because you wanted to question him about what was going on.
It seemed confusing to me, and further traumatizing in the passive aggressive nature of the questioning, like, "Are you okay? Are you?" While I'm handcuffing you, and then question. It was just traumatizing. And,
absolutely. So I'll take it off of I'll take it because it just from there it goes to who you want to call your mom. It goes further, but I think those initial moments and just like I said. I want to take it off a screen share, so somehow I can figure out how to do that real quick. That'd be great. Okay. Very good. Thank you. So you saw it. You saw what happened. And that young man was traumatized and he was scared. I don't care. Okay, I'm okay. He wasn't okay. Who's okay? Grown men, grown women aren't okay in a situation like that.
You know, I've done a lot of work in the community, and that's how I came across the acquaintance of Mike Henry, but with our prosecutor's office and in criminal justice. I worked with Liberate, Don't Incarcerate, was a prison abolitionist group. And in one of those organizing forums, I think one of the questions was, what were some of my first thoughts of the police and my first memories of the police? And I'm 52, and I can remember as a child those Fisher Price toys where there's like a dog and then there's a cop. And I had a positive idea of police as a youth. And it wasn't until, and then I played football for our county team, and it was all Washington County sheriffs when I was 13 and 14. They were all African-American too. I was actually considered at that age, 13 and 14, I was thinking about law enforcement. But my teenage years and being profiled and having my car searched, Pittsfield as a teenager, Pittsfield Township with their gigantic dogs and searches. I had my car searched 3 or 4 times by Pittsfield police during that time. But my experience as a teenager, being racially profiled, and just that's what informed my view on our present criminal justice system and the reason for change. And incidents like this can't be tolerated. We can't have children, Black youth, like indoctrinated with this adversarial role towards the police. Everyone wants public safety. We don't all want law enforcement running amok and violating people's rights like this. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Things have to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the more we bring awareness to it, because what we saw is that officer's his own bias, right? His own implicit bias. And what we also saw was systemic racism going on. And then what we haven't seen and what we don't want to develop, and this is what we want to prevent, is how the effect that this is going to have on this young man. Because you're right. Most kids, I want to grow up, I want to be a police officer, I want to be a firefighter, right? That's what a lot of young children, that's what they want to do, because they see them as being the good guys. They see them as being the protectors. Now, what happens when your protector violates you? When your protector sits up here and dehumanizes you? Now we've got an issue. Now, do I hold that in for the rest of my life? And am I suspicious of the police? Every police officer? I hope not. But we have to make sure that doesn't happen. I don't want that to happen to this young man. I really don't. I don't want at 15. I don't want that at all.
Mhm.
Ms. Dixon, would you? I don't want our audience just to know you from this incident or this what transpired. Would you like to share a little bit about yourself in relationship to Ypsi area? Just something. I mean, you've got a, I'm sure, rich, interesting life other than this, and not letting this one day define anything. If you could just share a little bit about yourself.
I was born and raised in Ann Arbor, Ypsi. So, like you said, I've never seen it like nothing like this happen my whole life. I went through a lot of things in my life, and I have never went through nothing like that.
Which high school did you go to?
I went to Ypsilanti High School.
Okay.
Ypsilanti.
Were
Yes.
you Grizzlies or what was the Ypsi? Were you a Huron? Or
No,
the Braves?
no, I was
the Braves.
never here.
No, were you was it the Ypsi Braves or the Ypsi Grizzlies when you were there?
It was the Ypsi Braves.
All right.
Yes.
The football team that I played for was the Ypsi Braves too, when it was back in the mid '80s there. Okay.
Yeah.
So
please don't ask me, because I won't know the name of my high school football team or the mascot. I have no idea.
Miss Webster, are you from the Washtenaw, Wayne area, or if you share a little bit about yourself? Are you from this area?
Well, actually, I grew up in Detroit. I graduated from Cass Technical High School. And then from there, I went to college. I went to the University of Michigan. So I had a different perspective of Washtenaw County those 4 years that I was there. I didn't think anything like this even existed whatsoever. It wasn't until I became an attorney and started practicing in Washtenaw and got to see truly, Washtenaw County is pretty conservative. It's not as liberal as I thought it was at Michigan. It's not liberal at all. In fact, it's very conservative, and I think it's very conservative on people of color. I think they get it the brunt of it. To me, from what I've seen from practicing.
I have some things I'd like to share after with you about just the incredible racial disparities in Washtenaw County criminal justice. I work with our health department on a community team, and it just had a lot of access to a lot of different data. And African American youth under 16 are 6 times more likely to be involved in the criminal justice system than the white counterparts in Washtenaw County. The number one arrest for African Americans in Washtenaw County is obstruction of justice. And obstruction of justice is listed under, failure to appear for traffic warrants, failure to pay fines. So in my view, crimes of poverty and this over policing, but that's the number one arrest for African Americans, obstruction of justice out of these warrants and things from the, I believe, over policing. For whites, it's operating under the influence. But there's a 12 times more likely African Americans are in Washtenaw County to have that obstruction of justice charge. It's one of the largest racial disparities, but it's conservative. Wow. We're over policed.
Absolutely, and that's what we want to prevent, and that's where we have to start now, and that's why this case is so important. And because he is a young man, I don't want him to get to that point. I don't want him to get to the point where he's out and he gets a ticket. I want him to know that that this is not, you don't ever have to get a ticket. That means there's so many people go through their life and never get a ticket for anything. They just follow the law. They do all of this, right? So I want him. This is who I want him to be. And I don't want this incident to change that. But we have to make sure it doesn't change that. So we have to do some positive reinforcement. And guess what? So does the Pittsfield police. They've got to do some positive reinforcement, and they've got to be held accountable for the actions of that day. So right now, what we've done is we've actually filed a lawsuit, right? A lawsuit has been filed. And it just goes to the excessive force, because that was excessive for a 11-year-old boy. What we know is this, that a child should never be placed in handcuffs unless there is some type of officer safety. So what we saw, that young man was not screaming and hollering. He wasn't jumping all around. He was subdued. He was tame. What was the problem? But what we did hear was sit, lay down, get on the ground. We heard all that. What we saw was a young man following instructions.
Directions, yes.
So why was that necessary? Why was that necessary? And I don't want, again, the news in both stories, they wanted to minimize because they gave him some Gatorade and gave him, and well, the cops were only on his hands for 1 minute and 40 seconds. I don't care if it was 1 second was too long. 1 second is too long.
Well, 1 second about a gun pointed at you.
It's too long. Exactly. And 2 guns. So no, not at all. Not at all. I can honestly say in all my life, knock on wood and, praise God, I've never had a gun pointed at me. Never. I've had some things, no.
Part of though, I can remember being as a teenager and having a police officer say, "Don't make me have to shoot you." He didn't pull out but just that comment, is you can't tolerate.
Because guess what? That's the assault and that's the battery. That's the assault because he has the present sensibility to do it. He can absolutely, when they pulled out those guns, you don't think that's an assault? Because I know you can't shoot me. I know I've seen articles where you have shot young people. I've seen you shoot. I saw what you did to George Floyd. I saw what you did to the other young people. So I know you can do it. This young man is aware of what's out there. He's seen the news. So when those guns came out, that's an assault. Putting him in handcuffs, he wasn't free to leave. That's false imprisonment. He had the present sense.
So with the lawsuit, what exactly are you asking for, and what's your hope that comes out of it?
Well, several things. Number one, I want for the family, I want for this young man to be compensated. I want for him to be able to have counseling, future counseling, and that costs. That somebody has to pay for that, right? I want also for there to be changes in the Pittsfield Township Police Department and how they handle the dealings with minors that are calm, minors whose parent may be a clown. But you see that child hadn't done anything. You saw that. And how do we handle that? Guess what? We don't put them in handcuffs. How about that one? We don't put them in handcuffs. And the minute, because honestly, when we think about it, you don't know who's really coming out of that car. You really don't know. You don't know if the daddy said, "Hey, just go for it." You don't know that. But once you saw, but it takes a split second to see that, hey, that was not the case. This young man was cooperating. This young man was this. That was not the case here. So those guns should immediately have gone down. Young man, it's okay. Come on over here. This should have been treated no differently as if he were coming out of a fire. Because guess what? It was hot in that car. It was hot with all those, the chase. And I wasn't there, but I'm saying the chase, the police officer surrounding, that's hot. So it should be treated no differently if that young man had come out of a fire. You comfort that person, say, it's okay. It's okay. Come on in here. We're here to protect you. And then they go deal with dad.
Speaking of that, I know some audience members, they're want to know why did he run? What were those charges? We know that he was released, so they can't have been too severe. But has he commented as to why he ran or given any type of narrative? Has he said anything?
Well, we can't speculate as to what was going on in somebody's mind at that time. We don't know. I don't know. But what we do know is that yes, he did have warrants, which I'm surprised, and they were felony warrants. So if there's felony warrants, why are you letting him go? And why aren't you following the procedure? Why? Because you know what you did to the son was wrong. That's why. Yeah. Because if you had done everything properly and within your procedure that you've defined, that you said that you were following, that's not the way it goes. That's not the way it goes. You arrest dad, you call CPS, say, "Mom, listen, come get your son here because there's a problem." You don't say, "Oh, we're going to let you go."
Yeah.
No.
For people that are just, I'm sure when they hear this, they're going to be outraged and they want to do something. Do you have any suggestions or ways to support the case yourself? Just, yeah, what can people do?
Well, number one, what they can do is we are having, hopefully we're having a rally on the 27th of June in front of the Pittsfield Township Police Department, just to say, hey, we need community support. We need to know, and we need everybody to know. Anybody who has a young child needs to come out and say, no, you will not do this to my child. You will not. And so we're having something probably around about 2 to 3 at the Pittsfield Township Police Department. We'll be out there, and we just want the community to come out and just support. That's all we need. That's all we need.
Well, I'm definitely planning on being out there, and I'll help promote that and get the word out. I've just had an issue with Pittsfield Township, as I said, their police department. They have a notorious reputation among the African American community for long-time Washtenaw County members. So I'd be thrilled to be out there and highlight that history and how we're not going to take it anymore.
Absolutely. We can't. We got to say enough is enough. And there's something in sign language, and this is the sign. Enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Enough is enough. A police brutality, for police tyranny is enough. It's enough. And we thought they would have learned something from George Floyd last year, but it just continues. What more do you need to see?
You know, we may ask for other people to share their stories with Pittsfield, because just recently, over the last 6 months, I was assisting a woman. She has some mental health issues, and she had been in a homeless shelter. But a couple of years ago, last year, she was exited from Safe House. And again, she has mental health issues. It was out of an argument. She was exited. But Pittsfield Township, when they picked her up, they bruised her, pulling her out of there. They dropped her off at a gas station with her bags. This is from a domestic violence center. They physically bruised her and then just dropped her off at a gas station with garbage bags.
And see, now you're taking a victim, right? You were dehumanizing them even more. And if she turns around and makes anything, then you're gonna make her a criminal. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's just a setup. It's an absolute setup. And that's what we can't. There are safeguards in place, and if they're not, there needs to be. That what do we do if this person? We know mental illness is nothing new. There are trained professionals that are supposed to know how to handle these situations. So is the answer to the solution to kick them out, and then you pick them up, you rough them up a little bit, then you take them over to the gas station? What was she supposed to do at the gas station? But perform some more. If she's not well, if she's not taking her medication, that's not the solution.
Yeah, it's and I know there's more stories like that, and we need that truth to come out, because there's this perception that Washington is so progressive and liberal, and there's those pockets, but no, that the real story is anything but. And I think a big part of it also is at the municipal level. Our county government has declared racism a public health emergency, and they've outlined 10 steps or commitments. One of them is for different municipalities to speak to make the same kind of statement and recognize what a danger racism is. But you're not going to see that on Pittsfield Township's board. You're not going to see that on Ypsilanti Township's website or Superior Township. And I'm in Ypsilanti Township. We're 56,000. That confuses a lot of people or surprises a lot of people, because Ypsi City is totally separate. It's 21,000 smaller. But when I think Ypsi, I think Ypsi City, Ypsi Township, Superior Township, like Sycamore Meadows and Danbury Green, and also East Pittsfield Township, all the different apartments off Gulfside and such. And all those areas, they really don't have any type of representation. The boards really don't look out in their interest or comment. So that's my interest in really highlighting that and pressing these local municipalities and city councils to do something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's where we have to get the word out, and we need people who are not afraid to step up and say, this is my community. I am a part of this community. I contribute to this community, and I want my voice to be heard, and I don't want to be treated any kind of way. I deserve the same amount of, I deserve the same respect that you give everyone else. Everyone else, of somebody who is Caucasian, someone who is not a person of color. I need that same amount of respect because I am here. I am here.
Ms. Dixon, you want to offer anything or anything else you want to share before? Because I want to close out, and then I'm going to promote those dates and and get the word out. But yeah, if you'd like to share anything before we take off.
No. Just pretty much devastated. It's kind of, weird for me that this is actually going on and happening to me and my child,
How is he doing? How's your son doing?
He's doing pretty good. He's hanging in there.
Attorney Webster Cox, would you like to say anything before we take off?
Absolutely. Come out June 27th. Support us. Support yourself, really, because that's what you're standing up for. You're not just standing up for this 11-year-old young man. You're standing up for yourself, your family, your nephew, your cousin, your son, your grandson. Your brother. That's what you're standing up for. You're standing up for just people in general to say this is not going to be accepted, that we are saying no to this. So I'm saying step up, step out, and let's do this. Let's make some change happen. Say, listen, next time you won't do this. This won't happen again. This won't happen again. Not to the young people, not to the short people, not to the minors. You won't.
Right. You're not gonna be pointing guns at kids.
Right. And then talking about you okay? You want some great Gatorade? Take your Gatorade. You know what you can do with your Gatorade. No, thank you.
Well, thanks both of you. And again, I'm going to see you on that date, the 27th. We're going to spread the word. I really appreciate having both of you here, and I'll see you then on the 27th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.